Hi guys, thanks for tuning back in. This is going to be a bonus screencast. We talked a lot about genetic engineering and CRISPR technology, especially when we looked at in our genetics unit that designer babies videos, and we talked about kind of the pluses and minuses. If we can get rid of horrible diseases, should we? If we can choose hair color, eye color, is it taking it too far? So in this screencast, I just want you to pay attention. There's not going to be anything on the quiz from this one. This is kind of a bonus one, just so we can go into that genetic engineering a little bit more. And I want you to understand what genetic engineering really is. So it is the deliberate modification of the characteristics of an organism by manipulating its genetic material. And we know that genetic material is talking about DNA and or possibly RNA. Scientists will transfer genes from one organism to another. It allows for the production of specific proteins, repairs damaged genes, or improves an organism. Think designer babies. Think, if we could have a superpower engineered into us, wouldn't that be cool? Here are some examples of things that have been genetically engineered. And we're going to look a little bit more at some of these because they're really cool. I will post this up for you, and I will give you this link. The examples we're going to go all come from this article on Mad Science, talking about genetic engineering and showing you some different examples. So, glowing animals. Now, we've all been to the pet store, and we've probably seen the fish that glow in the dark, and they're pretty cool, and they are genetically engineered in a lot of cases. But here are cats that were altered to glow in the dark, pigs that were altered to glow in the dark. Okay, so what's the point? Doubles as a nightlight, scientific experiments. But again, this takes us back to it's cool, but is it ethical? So the reason they are testing out traits like this is because they're looking to see, can we test out genetic diseases in pets too? Can we modify their DNA enough to do that? Here's a modified pig, the EnviroPig or Frankenswine. Frankenswine is a pig that's been genetically altered to better digest and process phosphorus. Okay. Goats making spider silk. It's one of the most valuable, strong materials in the world, and it can be used to make a variety of products in medicine, artificial ligaments, and lots of other stuff. So here is another example of a genetically engineered organism. Venomous cabbage. Now this sounds kind of creepy. A gene that programs poison into scorpion tails have looking for a way to combine it with cabbage. Why would we want to create venomous cabbage? To limit pesticide use. So, organic is an integrated pest management is something that we've talked about, and whether or not it's worth it, or whether it's good, whether it's bad. But to limiting pesticides on the foods that we eat while still preventing the caterpillars from damaging the crops. So, this GMOs in foods are a big talk right now, and whether or not it's positive or negative. Fast-growing salmon, again, looking to bring back a population, looking to make them grow stronger or faster or better so that their populations can grow. Now, this would be for us adding hormones, just like we've done to our chickens and cows to make them bigger, stronger, better. So in some ways it's good. We'll get bigger salmon, more food. But in other ways, again, we're really messing with the natural way of things. And is that okay? Vaccine bananas. So vaccines are at the forefront of a lot of what we're doing right now, right? We're talking about the COVID shot all the time. We've talked about how that works. What if instead of getting a needle, you could eat a banana? Is that a better way to go? I mean, it sounds great, but again, what are we messing with? Cancer-fighting eggs. Again, on the surface, this sounds amazing, and maybe it will be. Cancer-fighting medicines in their eggs. Okay, so eating instead of maybe getting chemotherapies or stuff like that. So again, where is the line? This sounds amazing. Of course we want vaccine bananas. Of course we'd want a cancer-fighting egg. But remember that ethics line, and are we crossing it? And where's the line being crossed? So the difference, selective breeding, which we talked about in the last screencast, involves choosing two specific organisms with desired traits and breeding them to pass on those traits. Think dogs. Genetic engineering involves scientists actually altering the DNA in an organism and changing its genome. With this method, traits from one species can be introduced into another species. So here we're actually messing with the DNA. That is the key difference. Okay, produce by the numbers. This is just a little bit of how you tell what's what. Organic produce, start with a 5 digits long, or a 9. You'll also see 9s coming up in organic. Non-organic produce are typically only 4 numbers, start with a 4. If it's a GMO, it's a 5-digit number starting with an 8, which you probably won't see because they're mostly used as ingredients in other items. So remember, those GNOs are those genetically modified organisms. Subspecies, a group within a particular species that shares the same genetic characteristics with other group members that it doesn't share with members of the larger species. Subspecies may interbreed and be partially reproductive isolated. So if there's not a lot of variety in your species to breed with, they will interbreed. Interbred organisms don't tend to do as well. They don't produce offspring with as many diverse traits as with natural selection. Race, most often used to describe variation within the human species. Human races are differentiated primarily by skin color. So when we talk about race, we're not a separate species. Race, we're really talking about skin color. And should we be looking at people based on their race? Because it doesn't accurately reflect anything about a human by just looking at their skin color. Two people of African descent could easily be more genetically different from each other than a person of European descent may be from an Asian descent. Bottom line, races have slight differences. These differences are nowhere near the level they'd have to be to decrease gene exchange. So when looking at or talking about race, let's be very careful to understand that race and species are two different things. And a breed, domestic animals such as dogs, cows, or characteristics are artificially selected and maintained by humans through animal husbandry or divided into breeds. Okay, so once again, remembering back to the last screencast, our goals of selective breeding are to create animals that have the traits that we find favorable. Did you know that you are 99.9% genetically similar to the person next to you? Yes, even the person on Zoom. We share 96 to 98% of our DNA with orangutans, gorillas, and chimpanzees. So there's how genetically similar we are to all those organisms. And finally, quote from Mr. Bill Nye, the Science Guy, "There's no such thing as race. Along with evidence of common sense, researchers have proven scientifically that humans are all one people." Thanks for watching. Catch up with you in class.